Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This is Central Christian College of Kansas's online BS in Criminal Justice Program information session. My name is Lydia Popescu, and I will be your host today. Before we begin, please refresh your browsers and turn up the volume on your computer to hear the audio on your device. If you're having technical difficulties or have any questions for our panelists today, please type them into the Q&A box and hit send. Here's a quick look at what we'll be covering today. First, we'll hear from Dr. Lenny Favara, Provost and Chief Academic Officer, who will give us an overview of Central Christian College of Kansas, followed by Doug Schroeder, who is a faculty member in the online criminal justice program. She's going to give us an overview of the program and discuss career benefits of earning a criminal justice degree, as well as the career opportunities available for graduates. Student Success Advisor Claire Kelly will then talk about the supported online learning experience and what that means for online students, followed by Enrollment Advisor Tana Slawinski, who will talk about the requirements for admission and some important dates to keep in mind. We'll end with a Q&A session. If you have a general question about the program or questions specific for our panelists, please enter them into the Q&A box, and we will try to answer as many as time allows. Now let's begin. Our first panelist, Dr. Lenny Favara, brings 20 years of experience with Central Christian College of Kansas and also is an alum. Dr. Favara, thanks so much for being with us today. Will you share a little bit about your background with our audience?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be here today to share a little bit about the college. As you said, I am an alum, so I went here. I won't tell you the dates, but it was a long time ago. And so I have a long history with the college, graduated, went elsewhere in the industry, and then just felt a real burden to come back and be a part of the college and continuing to assist people in completing their educations and furthering their vocational goals. So I am very familiar with online learning. Some of my advanced degrees after I had attended Central actually were directly related to online learning. Completed those degrees online, and so we've taken a lot of what I've learned personally and experienced personally and tried to incorporate that in some of what you'll hear about today. Really interested in criminal justice. My dad worked as a drug enforcement agent and a K-9 unit director, so I've been around that. I know still some of the signals, the sign off at the end of the day and so on, and I'm excited to be able to share about our criminal justice program today as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Our second panelist, Doug Schroeder, is a criminal justice program faculty member and is also an alum of the program. Doug, would you share a little bit about your background with our audience today?
Yes, absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here and to speak well on Central Christian's behalf. I've got a unique background in that I am also an alum, and I really got the inspiration for education once I started classes here at Central. You know, I think a lot of people go into this thinking, I just kind of want that piece of paper at the end to say that I've accomplished something, to see what doors that might open up. But it's really the process along the way that really inspired me to continue my education. I'm a graduate of Northwestern University's Police Staff and Command program. I further got my master's locally, but all of that was through online format. So not only am I on the faculty and teach, instruct via this online format, but I've also learned in several different platforms. So I think that makes a relatable experience when I talk to students and when I teach some of the classes. I have taught a couple already and continue to do so. Criminological theory, ethics and criminal justice, terrorism and counterterrorism is a few of them. And I'm not going to bore you with all of my background, but kind of a highlight of mine is that I was recently named a Presidential Medal of Valor recipient, and I'm kind of looking forward to going to D.C. to receive that here soon. So again, good to be with you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Favara to give us an overview of Central Christian College.
Yeah, so Central Christian, we've actually been around for quite a while. We were founded in 1884. Back then we were just a junior college. Actually, until we became a four-year college, we were the oldest junior college in the state of Kansas. So that tells you we've been around, we've been through the ropes, we've learned many things, and we continue to move forward. We continue to be a small private Christian college. We focus on the small and the idea that we try to keep class sizes small and the experiences very personal, so that you receive a personal experience as you move through this. We have over 40 areas of study throughout the institution. Now today we'll just be talking primarily about criminal justice, but got to keep in mind one of the great things about an experience like this, and even though we're located in McPherson, Kansas, which you may ask, now where in the world is that? The reality is we're a very global campus because students come from all over the United States and across the globe as well, military active people and so on who are participating in our program. So even though we're in McPherson, the fact that you're looking at an online program means that you're really a global student. Our mission is a Christ-centered education for character. So what we're looking for is how to build character. We do that through a Christ-centered approach, which means we are a Christian institution, so we do teach from a Christian worldview. But the challenge for you is really about how do I develop character in my life? How do I become more than just a law enforcement officer or grow my knowledge of criminal justice? How do I become a better individual to my community and so on? And so that's just part of who we are. Our vision is to be able to do that to any student who's interested. So we provide that Christ-centered education to any student. So you don't, and just so you know, because again, people look at Christian, you don't need to be a Christian to be in the program. We will teach from that perspective and you'll be challenged with it, but it's not a requirement. We have people from all walks of life, all ethnicities, all ages, and that's what makes learning in an environment like this so interesting. We are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, so you can be assured that what you're learning is recognized. We're accredited with the same accreditation as you would any state. So we're in the state of Kansas, so Kansas State University or Kansas University, we have the same level of accreditation that they have. We are a military-friendly school, which means we work with military families and military retirees or people who are currently in the military. And as you can see, we've been recognized a number of times. There's some badges along the bottom, which just highlights some of the things that we've done. We are a diverse campus. We're a low-cost campus. So it speaks to the fact that we've been around for a long time. We know what we're doing, and we're excited about being able to do it with you. Lidge, I think that's it for that slide. Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about, really I just want to focus in on that Fit For on the right side of your screen. You know, we talk about our mission being a Christ-centered education for character. We define character as people who have a fit heart, a fit mind, a fit body, and a fit soul. And what we're talking about here is kind of a holistic approach to your education. And this is going to be a lot different than maybe any other program you're looking at, because we're not just focused on, let's take fit mind. That makes sense. You're going for an education, you're going to get a degree, so you're going to learn things. All right, well, yeah, that's true. That's true of any college you go to. The difference at Central Christian is we're not just focused on that element in your life. Yeah, you're going to learn some new things, and so you're going to gain some intellectual prowess and understand things. But we're focused on other things as well. Fit hearts. We want to know that our graduates are people that can interact with a diverse world, that understand social responsibility, understand cultural differences, can speak civilly and engage civically in the communities around them. And that's not part of that fit heart. Fit mind we already talked about, but this ability to be critical thinkers. Fit bodies, it's not so much that, especially with an online program, it's not like we're going to virtually make you run a mile. What we're talking about is that I'm vocationally capable of doing the things that I'm learning about, that I'm gaining skills that I can actually use. And so that's what we're talking about with this idea of fit body. Now, you'll also be challenged to take care of yourself. And what does that mean? What does it mean to be a person who's physically able to respond to the needs around them? And lastly, again, because of our focus, we're going to deal a little bit with fit soul. Really, it's the question of how do I reflect upon myself? Who am I? Who am I to the people around me? Who am I to this creation that I exist on? What do I need to do in response to that? And we're gonna equip you with the tools to reflect on that. So I think a real feature of some of what you're going to experience outside of the curriculum, which Doug is going to share about, is really this idea that my faculty and the curriculum and my experiences are going to try to form in me these character components, and I think that's a real difference in the education you experience here. Liz?
Thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over to Doug to give us an overview of the online Bachelor of Science as well as the online Associate of Arts and Criminal Justice degree programs.
Yeah, let's look at those one at a time here. The Bachelor's in Science is a wonderful course. The first thing that I really need to note here is the course availability. It is 100% online. I can tell you from experience that I started the course and ended the course, and I never stepped foot on their beautiful campus. I have since done so just to want to see it and get to know some people, but it is 100% online. There's 40 courses. Each course is exactly 6 weeks long. So what that means is a student will start on a course, and that will be the only course that they take for that 6 weeks. After that 6 weeks, if they've completed their work, they'll be awarded 3 credit hours if that's what that course is. So you know, that appeals to a lot of people because they can really get themselves into the text, the research behind the course, and they don't have to skip between courses. So one course every 6 weeks. I've heard a lot of people really enjoy that. The courses, the materials, everything is available online to the student. There is typically some video lecture, and there is also the electronic textbook that's available online. So again, you don't need to be on campus. It's a beautiful campus. I'd invite you to go visit at some point if you could, but you do not have to be there to complete this. Transfer credits, I want to talk about that just a bit. It's based on a transfer evaluation. There may be credits awarded for prior schooling, training, on-the-job experience, perhaps military service, that sort of thing. Maybe you're already a police officer and you've been to the police academy. That's something that can be evaluated. And before I get too far on that line, I will have you note at the bottom of your screen on just about every slide here, there's a phone number and the website there that you can get more information on how to get some of that evaluated. Let me move on. Basically, the ending program or course in the BS delivery here is a capstone project. And that is something really neat, and a lot of students learn a lot there because we ask the student to get into something that they're already interested in or to research a problem that they believe their department's having. Maybe it's their pursuit policy and they want to research literature on that. Perhaps it's a staffing issue or comparing 12-hour, 10-hour, and 8-hour shifts and what that does to a person and the benefits, the pros and cons of it. But really, it's kind of a hands-on learning that they can instantly bring back to their department and implement. The time to complete this is kind of up in the air, and it's up in the air just because we don't know how many transfer credits you might be bringing in. You might get awarded for your police academy experience or something like that. So really can't give you a definite time of completion there. There are several curriculum themes. forensic science, criminal law, ethics and criminal justice, criminology, police administration, crisis management, terrorism, and counterterrorism. How that breaks down in the bachelor's program is that there are 18 credits for foundational skills, 27 liberal arts, 48 credit hours of criminal justice core, and then 27 hours of general electives. And you can see here on the next slide how those specifically break down. And I think I'm just going to highlight a couple of those. We certainly don't have the time to give you everything about those courses. But that brings up kind of another question that I'm often asked, and that's what's the difference between the training that I go to as a police officer, you know, the academy, the continuing ed hours that we're all mandated, and an education. And the training end of it is really instruction on how you do something, how you complete a task. And the education end, and what I've found that is really important about this program, it asks you, why do we complete the task this way? Really, a lot of the answers that we find in life is struggling with the questions. So we bring out a lot of questions in some of these curriculum classes and some of these core classes. For example, you know, terrorism and counterterrorism. Our responsibility as law enforcement has changed immensely since September 11. I think everybody can agree on that. A unique thing about Central Christian is that we often have at least one, sometimes more, veteran students in the class. And so through that, we get a different perspective on this. We get a perspective from somebody who has gone overseas and fought for the country, whereas maybe some of us has not. And that strength, that diversity is really a strength, and we can learn so much from our peers. One way that we do that in the courses is through a discussion board. And literally, the instructor posts a question. The students are then asked to weigh in on that question with both their opinion, experience, and what research says about that question. And then we have we talk. It's similar to a classroom, but it's done online in a thread. There are also some writing assignments. Typical class would have both of these as elements. And, you know, going back to the discussion in ethics and criminal justice specifically, we talk about the Stanford experiment, where even good people can make bad decisions, absolute ethics versus situational ethics, free will versus determinism. It really, honestly, it makes you question the world around you, which is wonderful. Like I said, I think there's strength in knowing the questions and not just knowing what you think is the answer. Again, we've got, you know, just continuing down there, criminal law, victimology, criminal justice, the capstone project, whatever that might be. It can take on numerous forms, but what's most important about that is it can be applicable to what you are currently doing. If you're an investigator or a patrol officer and you've always wondered, well, what's behind this policy, or should this policy be changed? You know, it lets you do some research on that. Continuing down, there are also some electives, a number of them. The positive thing about electives is that you can kind of pick and choose where your interest levels might be and that sort of thing. So that kind of sums up the bachelor's program and the curriculum. I think we'll move on to look at the associate's program here. And your next screen here breaks that down into the foundational skills, the liberal arts courses, and then the criminal justice courses. You can read those on what is in the foundational skills. What I really like about this, the first three classes, Essentials for College Success, Writing for Life, and Writing for College. Many of you out there are probably like I was. There was a number of years between either your associate's degree in college or high school and any college at all. Well, these three courses really set the student up for success. They tell the student what an instructor is looking for in their writing, and basic things like how to cite a source, how to use APA guidance to correctly do that and give credit to prior authors. If you're anything like me, when I went through high school, you go to a Rolodex and pull out a card, and you did a bibliography, and things are much different and much better. So I think those 3 classes really set a student up for the rest of them and success in the rest of them. One I'll highlight there in liberal arts is the contemporary culture and worldview, whereas that title may not grab your attention. I found it to be one of the best classes that I took. It really gave an insight into the tension in the world, and an insight, you can apply that insight into, why is there terrorism now? Why do we have extremist groups? Where is the friction, and where is that tension? So moving along there, Lidge, to program objectives. Again, Dr. Favara already talked about a fit mind, a fit heart, a fit soul, and a fit body, and what that means. And that's something that we really we base our coursework, our discussion, everything that we do in the course on this. Fit mind, meaning the student can summarize historical developments of criminal justice systems and the role of justice in American global community. Fit heart, that means the student can describe influence and behaviors related to administration of justice, or how each is affected by worldview and culture. A fit soul, the student can articulate ethical framework that recognizes the interplay of professional faith, natural law, and public policy. And then finally, a fit body, the student can employ appropriate procedures associated with law enforcement, administration, and the prevention, detection, and regulation of crime and criminal behavior.
Thank you. Doug, would you share with our audience some of the benefits of earning a degree in criminal justice?
Yeah, you bet. Certainly, it prepares you for a career in criminal justice, which we're gonna highlight some of those careers in the next slide. But I go through often as I am a police chief and look at want ads for police officers. A number of agencies, more and more, are moving towards a professional model and requiring more education of their applicants. And so it prepares students for that and also for advancement. I know that we have a number of prospective students that are already working in law enforcement, and they want this to be able to, test for sergeant, detective, lieutenant, chief, have it available when they run for sheriff, something like that. It is a science-based education. It provides people with a strong foundation in the areas of math, social science, biology, and psychology. The perspective, the curriculum provides students with a unique perspective, that of human behavior and law enforcement management, and really kind of how those two perspectives intertwine. The unique worldview here affords the students to advance their understanding of ethical and moral approaches. And as you've got there on the slide, the salary potential, referencing the Bureau of Labor Statistics, graduates with a bachelor's degree earn $1,000 more per week than individuals with just a high school diploma. Of course, that's across all different walks of life and bachelor's degree, but I could say that rings true in criminal justice, that the higher educated you are, the more that you might earn. Of course, it's not all about what the paycheck gives you. One true benefit of this is really the confidence of completing a project or a degree that you were somewhat unsure about, something that you weren't sure maybe that what you were getting yourself into, but got into it, really enjoyed it, and earned that confidence from the completion.
Thank you. Can you share with our audience now a little bit about what the career landscape looks like for graduates?
Yeah, and when I talk to people about something like this topic, I always mention we're trying to work ourselves out of a job. We're maybe the only profession that is, but there's no way that we're going to, unfortunately, there's evil in this world. People will continue to make bad decisions. And so there's a little bit of research on this slide on maybe what you're looking at. If you're looking at being a probation officer, you can see that the job is growing about 6%. The average annual salary is $50,000, just over $50,000. Perhaps the federal level is something that you're wanting to obtain and be an FBI agent. Average job salary is just over $68,000. And again, job growth in this area, we're trying to work ourselves out of a job, but if you listen to the news at any point, you can quickly recognize that we're not going to anytime soon.
Thank you. There are many options available for students looking to complete their criminal justice degree online. Dr. Favara, can you give our audience an idea of the benefits of choosing to enroll in a criminal justice program at Central Christian?
Yeah, actually, Officer, I don't know what to call him, Doug, he's done a great job. The big thing he brought out was this issue of flexibility and accessibility. I still think that's a major issue. I know that when I went through my program, you know, I'm trying to raise kids. I've got church and community issues. I've got work, and all this is going on, and somehow I'm supposed to be getting my education. I needed education to bend to me rather than the other way around, and that's a great thing about this program. It allows you to be very flexible, and accessibility is on your time. Because it's 100% online, if you have your iPad, if you have your phone, a computer, as long as you have internet access, you can go do what needs to be taken care of. So anywhere you need to be, and that's great. If I'm working shifts, it doesn't matter. I'm sure you know, Officer Schroeder could speak to the fact that he has students turning things on or turning things in anytime that they need to, and accessibility to faculty, phone call or an email away, and that's really a great thing. This idea of asynchronous learning is really, again, it's another part of flexibility. Online, anytime is the way we say that. Anytime you need to get on, however it works for you. I mean, you can get on holding a kid on one hip and you know, fixing the door and taking class, listening to a lecture at the same time. Doesn't matter. We've talked a little bit about balance. I like to say it more as it's a holistic education. We're concerned about you as an individual. That's just part of who we are as Central Christian. We're not just about pushing diplomas. We want to know that our people are out there. I mean, think about it. As a law enforcement member, I was at the shopping store the other day, and my 4-year-old recognized one of the guys. Wasn't in uniform, but knew he was a policeman, and was like, "Hi, sir," and walked up to him and talked to him. We are members of a community as more than just our job. And so we want to make sure individuals that graduate are effective members of their communities, not just effective officers or whatever they're planning to do in law enforcement. The idea of networking, you know, it's really interesting. Our student body is made up anywhere from perhaps younger students who are getting started in law enforcement to veterans who have been in law enforcement for years but are looking to further their careers. And so the richness of all that discussion and classes and the different experiences and how one department does it or one division does it, that you get to share in all that, and just also being able to hear what's going on in the field in other areas, as well as when it's time to look for jobs or hear about opportunities. You become part of an alumni network that is so much greater than just the cohort or the class that you're in. You're going to get to meet all kinds of people, and for years and years to come, you can always rely back on that alumni base to help you as you further your career or your vocation. Affordable tuition, you know, we are recognized as one of the 7th among the top 50 most affordable colleges in the nation, and we work hard to keep that cost low but keep the experience high, and so that makes it good for you. Many people even have departments or employers that'll help them continue that, so that cost with financial aid, which is another issue there. We know that 97% of our students qualify for financial aid. So this may be a low-cost option for you, which will only result in more pay and greater ability to further your career. There's no fees to apply. Everything's free. If you want to just see what it's like to get started, we're not going to charge you anything about that. Get in, find out, apply, get a transfer evaluation done. No money. There's no money that's going to be charged for you, all that. We don't take care of any of that until you actually start classes. And the great thing is you don't have to worry about anything more. The fees that you are charged in tuition are just what you pay. You don't have to worry about going to get books. We have a book program that if it's electronic, it'll just be in your class. If it's a hard book, it'll show up the week before your class gets started at your door. You finish your course, and then you just send it back unless you want to pay to keep it. And that's all included. So you don't have to go on Amazon and search for the book and what's the cheap one. Is this the right one? We don't want anything to get in the way of you living your life and you getting a good education. So those are a couple of things that I think are really important. That's why you should think about a college. Well, look, and plus you get to learn from guys like Doug, and he's an awesome guy and has tons of experiences. And I think you should do it.
Thank you. Now, as some of you may already know, there are many benefits of earning a degree online, but that can vary depending on the program you choose and the school. I'd like to ask Student Success Advisor Claire Kelly to give us an idea of the type of support that online students can expect while in the program.
Sure, thank you so much. Even though you're learning online, just as Dr. Favara mentioned, you're part of the community. So we're here to support you from before you even start your program through graduation. When you first reach out to us, you'll work with an amazing enrollment advisor. You'll hear from her in just a moment. And once you get started, you'll work with someone like me. I'm a Student Success Advisor. I'm here to support you, answer questions that you have, help you get used to online learning, manage your time, balance with your busy life, and just keep you on track towards your goal of graduation. You also have wonderful faculty, just like Doug. He's here to help you succeed. He wants you to do well. He works closely with me in Student Success, so we all want to make sure that you're going to the right place, you're getting all your questions answered. And then you also have additional support such as career degree counseling. You get transfer credit evaluations to make sure you're making the most of previous academic work, previous police work, just to make sure that you are getting to where you want to go as fast as possible, and also making the best use of what you've done in the past. In Student Success, we like to say, if you're not sure where to go, come to us, because we will figure out where you need to go. If we don't know the answer, we'll get you to the person that does, and we'll be here to support you as you reach that goal of graduation.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Tana Sawinski, our enrollment advisor, to talk about the requirements for admission and just some important dates and deadlines to keep in mind.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So this is an easy process. I get the easy part. The online application, part of it is just kind of getting in touch with everyone and going through an interview. That's the main thing, to make sure that we are a good fit. Once we do that, the requirements for admission are a minimum 2.0 GPA. Obviously, you have to complete our application, which is very easy. I actually went through it today, and it takes about 5 to 10 minutes if that. It's very simple. We do require high school equivalency, which would be either proof of high school diploma or GED, and then your official transcripts, which what's great about that is we do our best to request those for you and even take care of the fee for those transcripts. We do have dates starting November 27th, which I still have availability for, and then our start after that would be January 15th of 2018. So like I said, we're still accepting applications for both November 27th and January 15th.
Thank you. So now we've reached the Q&A section of our presentation. And our first question is, for you, Doug, how have graduates used the capstone project to advance in their professional career? Can you provide any examples, perchance?
Well, yeah, I can. Again, what is so desirable about this class is the students can pick a topic area in which they have an interest in. Perhaps they're a patrol officer, but they're wanting to test very soon for investigations work or narcotics work, or maybe they just they have an issue, they have a problem with how something's being done, and they want to see the research behind it, and they want to support what they think ought to be done. You know, I examine 12-hour shifts. A lot of officers are working 12-hour shifts, and it wears the person out. Are there more traffic accidents? Do officers perform at the same level when they work an 8-hour shift? There's been numerous things, and that's just kind of on the law enforcement end. I tend to go there since I've you know, I work in the field, but recidivism in our prisons is a real problem. What can we do? What kind of intermediate sanctions might be available? What we're doing right now is not working real well, but is it the best we have? So all of those are things that students can research and then take right back to their jobs that they're in, or be able to have that knowledge for any future advancement opportunities.
Thank you. Another question for you, Doug. What can students expect from you in class, and are you available for one-on-one conversations with students?
Oh yes, very, very much so. I think Dr. Favara hit it right on the head when he said that there are relationships built in class. Now, people might think, well, how do you do that when you only converse or mainly converse via the internet and the program here? You'd be surprised, because some of the discussion board, we really we bring out our personalities, and I encourage that. There are many students that have called me well after they've had my class and just asked my opinion about something. You know, something either bothering them or something they want to look into more. You know, right down to you know, a lot of law enforcement trade police patches or police challenge coins. And I've had students want to do that, and you know, so we set those personal experiences up through a lot of the discussion and interaction that we have online. I do, again, contact. I offer my cell phone, my department email, and there is messaging within the curriculum, within the platform rather. I check that morning and night, and several times in between. Invite people, if it's urgent or if they need to know an answer, they call me. I've received numerous calls, and I think that's important. I think it's also important that here at CCCK, the classes don't get to you know, 50 individuals, that they are very manageable. Sometimes there may be 10 people in a cohort, and so that ratio to instructor is very favorable for them.
Thank you. Can you also explain how many hours a week students should be prepared to study or to dedicate to their studies?
Yeah, I think maybe Dr. Favara would have more accurate statistics, but basically for every credit hour, and this would be at any institution, this expectation, for any credit hour, a student needs to plan on 3 hours outside of that credit hour to accomplish all of the reading materials, listening to the lecture from the textbook author, and completing discussion board posts and any writing assignments that there might be in that unit. So what that means, for a 3-credit class, there would typically be 9 hours outside of class that the officer would, on average, need to put in to get the grade that they want to and the material that they want to out of that class. Now, again, the nice thing is, just like just about everybody else going through this, I know what it's like. I had young kids. I still have kids, and work life doesn't get any less hectic. Family, you know, things and church obligations, those don't slow down. But if you think 9 hours in a week, most of us waste a whole lot more than 9 hours per week doing something we could have done productively. So it really, the time, and when it's a topic that you're enjoying and you're learning about, that time is, it really doesn't register as time used.
Thank you. And a question for Dr. Favara. Can you share some of the just the attributes of your faculty on this program?
Yeah, that's no problem. Actually, I'm going to tag on what Doug's talking about. He's totally right. And one of the great things, too, is if you can multitask, you're really good. I mean, I've seen students or heard of students, jogging on the treadmill, reading or listening to a lecture. And so then you're getting twice as much done. But again, what he's talking about is, 9 hours may be what you need. Some students move faster, and the point is you can do it when you need to do it. The nice thing is it's not certain hours that you got to go sit in a classroom and you've got to interrupt your life to do it. You can do it as you need to do it. And another thing I don't think we brought up, but this is again part of the support network. We also make sure, because there are some classes like if gen ed courses that you run into that maybe I don't have much experience with that, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be all alone. I'm going to fail the course. Part of what you also receive is free tutoring through an association that we have with an online tutoring partnership. And so if you need extra help, even beyond all the help you already get with an advocate and your faculty and your fellow students, we're going to make sure you get that as well. I think your question, though, is about the faculty. This is one of the reasons why I love the CJ program. Unlike maybe other majors that kind of, and I hate to use the term, but it's kind of got some old fuddy-duddies that got a degree and now they're teaching the subject. Our criminal justice staff, I'll take Chief Schroeder here just as an example. He is the real thing. And you're interacting with people. We have judges, we have officers, we have agents who just part of their life is they want to be involved with educating students. And so you're talking to people who are the real thing. Now, all of them will have a master's degree because that's part of what we don't want people teaching who haven't advanced in their own educational experiences. But nearly all of them are also real-time people doing the real work of law enforcement. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Now, I have another question for Doug. Can you share a little bit about your experience as a student in the program?
Yeah. I think I can remember back. I had the pleasure of graduating with CCCK's very first class, and to echo what Dr. Favara had just said, the faculty that I interacted with were absolutely top-notch. I mean, I remember a criminal justice investigations class where the instructor was a federal agent, and we would talk a little bit offline, email back and forth, and I knew he had life going on as well. He told me about some raids and stuff that they were involved in recently. So I can only echo that support system. I think everybody that decides to go back to school or continue their education, they go into it with a little anxiety, and I can tell you I was the same way. I was like, what if I fail? What if I don't like it? What if it's a bad experience? That sort of thing. What I really love about Central here is their support staff. It is nearly impossible to have a bad experience because there are just so many people there available for you to succeed. So faculty, my experience in the criminal justice program, as I said when I led off, it was really my inspiration. I thought I knew what I thought I knew, and then I was challenged with questioning the world around me. And I found that so interesting, I continued on. I continued on to an executive program and getting my master's degree and wanting to give back to a student that might feel that same way. And that's why I enjoy instructing.
Thank you. Is the criminal justice field difficult to enter?
For me, Lidge?
Yes.
Yes. I would say it is, and it should be. I don't think just anybody out there should be in the criminal justice field. I think it takes special individuals to do special work, and they have to be of the highest integrity, and they need to have demonstrated that throughout their life. So is it hard to get to? You know, I would speak for most chiefs in at least our area. You probably have 20 to 30 applicants per open position. So that's a little difficult. So in education, really put yourself above where a lot of those applicants are coming into.
Thank you. Now I'd like to ask Tana. Tana, what can our audience expect if they call an enrollment advisor?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is really just talk to them about their commitment level to this, why they're wanting a degree in criminal justice. I go into a lot of detail about the things that that Dr. Favara and Doug have spoken about. I talk about the Fit For. I talk about the curriculum. So, you know, once we decide together whether it is the right fit, I'm going to walk you through the application, or at least send you the link for the application. I don't necessarily walk you through it because it is fairly simple. But I also set up expectations for them to know that they have to communicate with me so that I can help them get started on time, whether that be, you know, sending back transcript request forms, doing their financial aid. I set up a welcome call with their student success advisor. So the main thing they're going to expect from me is to talk to me for a little bit initially, and then continue to communicate so that I can help them get started on time.
Thank you. So anyone listening today, if you have a question about the program, please do not hesitate to reach out to Tana. She's got a lot of information and is happy to share it with you. And that concludes our webinar presentation today. I want to give a big thank you to our panelists and to our audience. So this concludes our webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.